So the reason I couldn't save any money for a long time was because I viewed money as a tool to spend money. I make money to buy things I want and things I need. The only time I saved money was to buy things that I wanted or needed that I couldn't purchase all at once because I just didn't have the cash. But even that idea now of saving up money to buy something is pretty much obsolete. And here's why. If I want to buy a TV and I don't have the cash, I use a credit card. If I want to get an education, I don't have the cash, I get a student loan. If I want to buy a house, don't have the cash, I got a mortgage, okay? Want a car? Get an auto loan. So even now, people are worse off because money is just so available to us via debt. And that's a big part of this, okay? So in this video, I'm gonna tell you what changed me. What made me go from someone that had a hard time saving money to now being able to save more than half of my income. And at a point, I was saving about 98% of all the money I made. That's when I lived with my mom, but now I don't. So now I have more expenses, as you probably know if you live on your own. Now, do me a favor and smash the like button and let's get right into it. And the very first thing I had to learn to be able to get good at saving money was that money wasn't just a spending tool, but it also represented my time. Because the only way for me to get money was to work, and work took time. So time, in a way, equals money. So here's something I want you guys to do right now. If you know how much money you make per hour, just write that number down or have it in your mind right now. If you don't know, I want you to take your annual wage and I want you to divide it by 2,000. So let's say I make $40,000. I'm going to divide that number by 2,000. And that's going to give me about 20 bucks, okay? And that's my hourly wage. That's an estimate for the most part. So take whatever your annual salary is, divide it by 2,000. Now tell me, why are you asking me to do this? Why do I need to know my hourly wage? Because your hourly wage is how much you trade 1 hour of your time for. What is actually worth money-wise? Now, let's take this even further, because if you make 20 bucks an hour, that's not it, because there's a cost to actually make money. When I had to go to work, I spent time getting ready. I spent time on buying clothes. I spent time on actually getting there. I spent time having to go on vacation because I needed to relax. I spent time having to buy food outside, more groceries and more stuff. So there's a cost to actually make money that people actually don't calculate most of the time. So whatever your number is, I want you to also subtract 20%. So $20 an hour, right? Subtract 20%, I'm going to be left with $16. Now that basically means that 1 hour of Tommy's time is worth $16. Basically saying, if I gave you $16, you give me an hour of your time. Now, I have to warn you about this, okay? Very important. You can take this to a massive extreme where you start to say, I'm not gonna do anything, I'm not gonna buy anything, because guess what? It is my time I'm basically spending. And guess what? That is true, but don't take it to a crazy extreme. Now here's why this is so relevant, okay? Let's say this phone right here cost me $333. If I divide $333 by the number 16, because 1 hour of my time is worth 16 bucks, it's about 20 hours of my time is in this phone. Now, if I divide that by 8, it's about 2.5, if I'm not mistaken, okay? That basically means it takes me 2 days and a half a work day to actually be able to afford this phone. Is that worth it? The answer is, it may be for me, it may not be for you. But spending $1,000 on a phone, the answer is most likely it's not. Spending a bunch of money, for example, on a fancy t-shirt probably isn't, because you see money now as time. When you look at a 16 or an 8, you're looking, for example, at a $50 t-shirt, you're not seeing 50 bucks. You're seeing, well, that's about 4 hours of my time, or like 3 hours of my time. That's crazy. I'm not gonna buy that, you see? And that helped me out a lot to realize that money is not just spending, but money is also my time. And I want to value and respect my time. And that also made me want to make as much money as possible in order to maximize the time I spend at work. Now, the second lesson that I had to learn to become a better saver was that money can also work for me. So that basically means that I wanted not to spend all my money because I wanted to have money in order to put money to work. This basically means that if I have savings, if I have money available to me, I can use this money to create more money for me. Now, this is super valuable and important because here's what I mean. If for every $100 that I invest, I make $10, that basically means that once I invest $200, that's about $20. That's about an hour of my time. Basically saying, well, if I use my money to invest, that gives me more money, but that money I don't work for. So that's time I don't have to spend at work. And that also means, for example, if I'm able to make 20 hours worth of money every single week from my investments, that means I don't have to spend 20 hours at work anymore. So I can basically get a part-time job instead. And I started to look at things through that lens. Now tell me, how exactly does that work? How can I make money work for me? Okay, now I have a few ideas right here that I want to share with you guys, but these are the things that I basically did. Number one was I used my money to buy things for a discount and then resell it to somebody else. So I would buy phones for a discount, resell them. Buy collectibles for a discount, resell them. And that basically made my money make me more money. That's arbitrage, by the way. I also used money to start a business like this one right here on YouTube. And that basically means that my initial investment made me more money, okay? Which is actually pretty good. I also started to use my money to buy pieces of companies via the stock market, meaning I am also entitled to a piece of the profits, and that profit I don't have to work for. So there's a lot of ways to go about making your money make you money. But by nature, as people, we are greedy, we are opportunists, and on top of that, we are also impatient. You have to resist those urges because making money, if you're trying to make your money make you a crazy amount of money, it's not going to work. View money as a person. View money as an employee. Now imagine if you're at work and every single day at work, you're able, for example, to write 10 emails. That's your job, okay? That's your whole job, write 10 emails. And your boss comes to you and says, hey, we're trying to maximize things around here. We're trying to make more money. I want you to write 200 emails a day. You're like, how the heck am I going to do 20x what was taking me a whole day to do? The answer is it's impossible. If you're trying to get your money to make you 20x overnight, it's also impossible. So what's going to happen is you're going to lose your employee. You're going to lose your money. That's the whole idea. So very beneficial. Once I combine those two things, hey, money is time. Money can work for me. If I don't spend my money and I put that money to work, that money makes me more money, meaning I don't have to keep working as hard as I actually do now. Now, here's the big problem that people face, that until you do this, there's no way you're actually gonna get better at saving money. In order to save money, you need to cut the things that take your money, okay? In order to be able to spend time with your family, you need to spend less time on your phone. It's all a trade in a way, right? In order to have more money in your savings accounts, what do you need to do? You need to make more money, for example, but that also means trading more time for money, which you might not want to do, and neither do I, by the way. But it might also mean I'm gonna cut all the bills that I basically don't need. I'm also gonna reduce the bills I basically do need. There are four main bills that everyone has that are actually necessities. There's shelter and rent, right? You can reduce that by getting a roommate, moving to a cheaper apartment, selling the house, buying a cheaper house. Several things you can actually do. Switching states is also an option. Utilities, you can change your utility bills. You can also, for example, get a different internet provider, a different phone provider, save money that way. There's also, for example, your grocery bill. Get good at meal prepping meals at home, and that way you can save time and also a ton of money. People spend so much money on food. They make it sound normal and like cute. It's ridiculous. You shouldn't be spending that much money on food, honestly. And then you have, for example, transportation. You know, everyone usually needs it. If you don't, awesome. I don't need it because I work from home for the most part. But the point is, okay, if you're spending $700 on a car payment, don't do that. Sell the car, buy a car for cash. That's money you don't need to spend every single month. If you combine all these things together, you're going to become an awesome saver. What made me change a lot was imagining myself being on my deathbed, for example, and just saying, you know what? I can't buy any time now. It's done. I wondered if I spend my time correctly. And at the time, I was spending like hundreds of dollars on sneakers. I was like, was that worth all the hours I had to work to buy those sneakers? The answer was no way. I was spending a ton of money on eating out and all this stuff to try to fit in. Was that worth it? No, no way. So I kind of visioned myself at that point and looking back, and that helped me out a lot. And it made me question myself and say, well, what do you want to spend your time on? Do you want to spend your time making more money? No way. I want to spend my time with my family on things that give me fulfillment and purpose, at my church, at with the Bible, these things that actually matter a lot to me and that I actually want to improve on a lot because there's a consistent race to those things. Guys, that's it for this video. See you guys later. Subscribe to the channel.